Welcome to Physical Computing with the Microbit Lesson 5. In this video, we're going to explore how to use the accelerometer to determine how much the microbit is tilted forward and backwards and left and right. Using a similar technique as we did in the previous lesson, we're going to use the console to explore the values that are returned from the accelerometer. We need to do this so that we can appreciate what values we need to use as part of decisions in order to how to dictate the outcome that happens depending on whether the microbit is tilted forward or left and right. So let's get to it. All right, so we're going to use the print command to display the values from the accelerometer. All right, so in this case, we're going to use accelerometer dot get x and accelerometer dot get y. And let's see what's being returned. And let's lower this down a little bit. Maybe let's try 200. Hopefully that's good enough. So I'm going to flash it. And then I'm going to hit REPL to bring up the console. I'm going to go back over here and then reset the program so that way it starts displaying to the REPL. So in a somewhat neutral position, notice that the values are really close to, or at least they're under 100. I'm going to work on tilting left now. So as I tilt left, that's the value of the get x, which is the first number being displayed. Notice that the values are becoming more negative. And they're rather large values. So unlike the buttons that pretty much return true or false, this particular sensor and some of the sensors that we'll be exploring in future videos return a range of values. So again, this is why it's important for you to explore what the values are that are being returned by the component. And you see that we get to close to 1,000, right? We get a little over 1,000 for almost like an extreme tilt of the microbit. So let's tilt it the other way. Again, we're exploring just the first number. And notice that the numbers are, again, on the positive side and also nearing 1,000. So again, now that we can kind of appreciate that tilting to the left is some kind of large negative number, and then tilting to the right is some large positive number. Now let's explore going forward and backwards. So if I'm going to tilt forward, so notice that a tilt forward involves a negative number. So to the left is a negative number and forward is a negative number. If I tilt it backwards, again, if you're watching the camera, you kind of sense what I mean by backwards. Notice it's a positive number. All right, so now that we appreciate the kind of numbers that we're getting when I tilt left, when I tilt right, when I tilt forward, and when I tilt back, we can now write if statements. So again, if you want to flash a new program, you have to click REPL to close out the console. I'm going to comment this out because at this point, I think we can appreciate what the values are. And let's just work with the getX. And let's display a image. So I'm going to use the display.show. And let's do image.arrow underscore west. All right, so I realized that my decision is not complete. So I'm going to test for a value that's less than, let's say, negative 300. Again, kind of signifying that I'm looking for a tilt on the left side. And let's also do this. Let's do a display dot clear to kind of clear out all the LEDs, because if you recall from previous lessons, once an LED is turned on, it kind of stays on. All right, so I flashed it. Let's go ahead and reset it. And the first thing I want you to appreciate that there's nothing on the LEDs. Now I'm going to slowly start turning it to the left. And notice I get the left arrow. I'm going to bring it back to center, and the arrow goes away. So now we're able to kind of signal when maybe when I want to turn left. As a practical application, think about it. You can mount this on the back of a bike helmet, and instead of using your hands to kind of signal left and right, you can simply tilt your head slightly to kind of have the arrows pop up. All right, so I'm going to do another if statement. And let's get the right arrow, which is simply for us to check a positive value. And this would be east. All right, so let's go ahead and flash this again. And let's reset it. All right, so again, appreciate that nothing's on the screen because I'm neither tilted to the left or tilted to the right. I'm going to tilt to the left. I get the left arrow, bring it back to center. Now I'm going to tilt to the right. So now we essentially do have our functional signal lights that will turn on depending on how the microbit is tilted. So what I want to do now is I want to also work with the Y accelerometer. So if you recall, to tilt forward and to the left are both negative numbers. So let's do a negative here. So this is checking for a tilt to the left. And let's also check for a tilt forward. So essentially what we're doing is we're checking for a diagonal tilt. And for that, we're going to display an arrow that is northwest. And let me finish this off as well. All right, so the first part of this if statement is checking to see that it's tilted to the left. And the second part of the if statement is checking that it's to see that it's tilted forward. So it's tilted forward and to the left. If it is, then we'll display the northwest arrow. Let's go and flash it. Let's go and reset it. So again, appreciate nothing's on the screen. I'm going to tilt it to the left, but nothing happens. I'm going to tilt it forward, nothing happens. Now I'm going to try to tilt it left and forward. And there you go. There's your arrow that's pointing toward the northwest or top left corner. So that's kind of neat because honestly, I mean, if you look at the image class, they got arrows for pretty much all the directions: northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. So you can use that arrow to kind of display things. All right, let's go back to our presentation and let's review what we've done. So in this video, we saw how we can use the accelerometer, excuse me, to determine how much the microbit is tilted. Unlike the buttons that return true or false, the accelerometer returns a range of values. So you really do have to use the console to investigate the kind of values that are returned. So we saw the values range between essentially 0 and 1,000, and a negative on the x-axis means that you're tilting to the left. A positive means that you're tilting to the right. Similarly, if you have a negative y accelerometer value, that means you're tilting forward, and a positive accelerometer y value means you're tilting back. Again, combining that knowledge with decisions, you can actually now display different things, produce different outcomes depending on how the accelerometer is tilted. So hopefully you're excited about using this type of component and enjoy.